There's one simple trick you can use to make sure every minute of your precious guitar practice time actually counts. This one small shift can mean the difference between struggling for years and getting better every single day. It's the reason why some guitarists improve so fast, while others stay stuck wondering how they do it. In this video I'll show you exactly what it is and how you can start using it today. But first let me show you why most practice routines don't really work. Let's take something simple, the A minor pentatonic. When you first learn it, it feels overwhelming. You're trying to remember the frets, which fingers to use, the picking directions. Your brain is fried with all the information it has to process. But if you stick with it for 5 to 10 minutes, the difficulty starts to drop. Your brain figures out what you're asking of it. The pattern starts to feel automatic and you might go through it quite easily. And here is where it gets interesting. Most players stay in the zone for days, weeks, sometimes even months, repeating the scale to try to nail it perfectly. But here is the problem. The longer you stay there, the less you actually learn. Once the brain has it figured out, it checks out. You are no longer practicing, you are just running on autopilot. It feels good because you are not making many mistakes. The movement is smooth, you are comfortable, but that's exactly when progress stops. To break out of that trap, I use something I call the struggle meter. It's a simple way of rating how much challenge you feel while practicing. There are 3 zones you need to know about. Level 10 is the lost zone. This is when the material you are practicing is way above your level. You are completely lost and can make sense of what you are trying to play. Levels 8 and 9 are the struggle zone. This is where it feels uncomfortable and you are making lots of mistakes. You are struggling, but if you stick with it, you can push through. This is where all the real progress happens. Level 7 and below is the comfort zone. Everything feels smooth, you are making few mistakes, it feels good. But here is the problem, your brain is mostly on autopilot, so you are not actually learning much. Here is what's eye-opening about this tool. Once you start using it, you will notice how quickly you slide from level 8 struggle down to level 4 or 5. And that shows you something important. Only a tiny part of your practice time is actually in the zone where you grow. When I work with students, I see the same thing over and over. Most of their practice lives at level 7 and below. And honestly, a lot of it is down at level 3 or lower. That's where you find the usual suspects. Endless warm-ups, running scales up and down, noodling without purpose, and playing songs from start to finish. Those things feel good, so you mistake them for progress, but in reality your brain is half asleep. I think you know that feeling very well when you're playing the same scale pattern for the 50th time today and hitting every note perfectly, feeling good about yourself. And that's level 3. Your brain checked out 40 repetitions ago. I say it in almost all of my videos, but I think it's well worth repeating here. The basic rule of learning is that the more effort you put in, the more you learn. And struggle meter is the tool that will show you how much effort you are actually putting in. Now that you understand how this all works, let's see how to actually use the struggle meter to make your practice more effective. In a moment I will show you exactly what it looks like when I'm learning a brand new lick, but first let's start with something more simple like a pentatonic scale. So let's pretend I am learning the A minor pentatonic scale for the very first time. At first, just going through the motions and playing the right notes might require total concentration. You probably need to go very slow to make it through. After a few minutes of this, you will start to feel like the struggle slowly lowers and you can play through a scale more easily. The struggle meter might drop to 3 or 4. And this is where most guitarists make the mistake. They stay here. They keep running the scale for another 10 minutes, thinking they are practicing, but really they are just going through the motions. Once the brain has figured out what it needs to do, you have to increase the difficulty to keep it engaged. Depending on your goal with the scale, that could mean increasing the tempo, play the note in different rhythm groupings over a metronome, try sequences instead of just playing it up and down, or let it rest so the process of forgetting kicks in, making it harder when you return. Each of these options pushes the challenge back up, keeping you in the struggle zone, and the more time you spend there, the more you learn. Now let me show you what this actually looks like in real practice. Yesterday I sat down to learn this lick. It comes from the song The Storm by Flying Colours, and on guitar you can hear Steve Morse. This footage comes from the start of the session where I just transcribed the lick. As you can see, I'm hitting about a level 10 on the struggle meter, I can't even play it slowly from start to finish. Since the lick was way too long and too difficult to practice as one piece, I decided to cut it into 3 sections and started practicing the first part, which looked like this. After a few repetitions, the first part dropped to about 4 on the struggle meter, so it was quite easy. So I tried to play it against the metronome at full speed, and it looked like this. As you saw, I could play it almost cleanly at full speed, and that's about a 3 on the struggle meter. There was no point staying there and repeating it over and over. I needed to push back into the struggle zone, so I moved on to practicing parts 2 and 3, and I repeated the same process as with part 1. The moment I felt too comfortable with part 2, I moved on to part 3. So here is me trying to play those 2 pieces together, and as you can see, it's starting to come together quite nicely. And this is the final result after about 15 minutes of practice spent on that lick. Once again. Close. It wasn't perfect yet, but I didn't expect it to be. It will still need more reps over the next few days and weeks to really lock it in. But as you can see, I made pretty nice progress in those 15 minutes. And that's all thanks to pushing myself to stay in the struggle zone. The key is recognizing when you have dropped below level 7 and immediately finding a way to bump the difficulty back up. Of course, it is not realistic to spend your entire practice time at level 8 or 9. As you work through a routine, you will naturally move between these different levels of difficulty. But here is the key. Now you can actually recognize when your brain is fully engaged and learning versus when it's just on autopilot. If you can simply spend more of your practice time in that 8-9 struggle zone instead of cruising at level 4, you will see huge improvements in your playing much faster than you might expect. And if you would like me to help you apply this to your own practice routine, I do have a few spots open for Zoom lessons. You will find the link below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.